SCCA's National Championship Runoffs has long been a launching pad to professional careers for some, an annual pilgrimage for many, and a bucket list event just to compete in for all. This weekend, it is also a test extraordinaire, as for the contenders, Sonoma Raceway awaits.
At the Runoffs. Beautiful start. We are green. A bit of a head there for Olsen, as he had the nose sort of in front, and he is around Aquilante as they go up the hill for the first time. And he is Aquilante. You can see that carcass go, but he's even in the dirt on the inside, maintaining position. But he is doing everything he can to make sure that Bowden stays behind him. But Olsen right now, Kip Olsen, is going to use that to his advantage to pull a bit of a margin and try and stay out there.
And Larry, we talked about Hayes and that car having very little development. It looks like already a problem for Hayes in the 22 car. So he is off power going up to turn 3.
Yeah, he's got a bit of smoke coming out of there. That's unfortunate for that car. But here I see the number 04 plummeting down in. That is James Candelaria. He's kind of making a move into there, but I'm looking at...
But that was a best-case scenario start for Olsen. He got a good, clean launch, used the turbo power in the NSX, and was able to pull a little bit of a gap and kind of squeezed Aquilante right there. So Aquilante lost momentum through 2, and when that momentum break happened for Aquilante, that was when Olsen really was able to make that margin.
Yeah, he really was. But now you're going to see Aquilante. He's kind of being unchallenged there for a second. He's going to be just putting his head down and try to make him, some ground up on Kip Olsen, as we see the battle there of Bill Collins and Joe Gaudet there in those Corvettes. But beautiful track here.
So he has some experience on this in this program.
Yeah, he does. And that plays a big part in your success at a track like this, as we see yet another move happening there for the 86 car of Gaudet, and he's going to be trying to catch all the way into Candelaria there as they run into turn 7. This is where you get into that rhythm, very much slalom-like, trying to hit these apexes of 8 and 8A all the way running down into 9.
Yeah, and you saw there that the Corvette really lost momentum by touching the curb, and when the car got 2 wheels up on the curb, really had to check up, and that's when the black Acura there kind of got a little bit of a gap. But again, as we're going to see throughout this race, the cars that have the big horsepower through the 7, 8, 9, 10 complex really can make that margin and hopefully create a passing opportunity for themselves going into 11.
Yeah, McCall able to kind of hold close to them, as you see right there. Liston going on the defensive, trying to hold Candelaria behind him, giving opportunity there for Gaudet to sort of stay close. Every time the pair in front gets defensive, the third one in the train often is the one that comes out better for it. But a great defensive move there, and that Acura of Liston able to hold that as he rolls up into turn 1.
Yeah, it looked to me like Liston missed his braking mark a little bit for 11. He might have been driving a little bit in the mirrors, but that car clearly makes good power down the straightaway.
Yeah, and now you see actually with Candelaria having to almost now be defensive because he's got Gaudet right behind him. So maybe this is helping Liston. What a battle here between these 4, Liston, Candelaria, Gaudet, and McCall, all within about 1 second. As there's that move going into 4, but clear heads prevail as he's able to back off just a little bit, but that hurts his momentum.
Absolutely.
As now you see Gaudet coming up right behind him.
Yep.
As you run around. They call turn 5. It's really just a bent straightaway, as all the places are here, and then you go plummeting down. So now you got to catch your breath. You've got to shake it off a little bit because the next corner is almost part of the exit of the one you're in.
And again, 2 wheels up on the curb, way up on the curb. It looked like he got pinched a little bit, and when he did, it broke the momentum, and that's what created that gap. And we're seeing that these 2 cars work very differently. The Acura does very well when it can get up into the boost and stay in the boost. Running down the hill here to turn 10 is a great example of that. He had a really strong pull off the front straight last lap, but as soon as we get into the handling portions of the course, you don't expect the Corvette to outhandle the Acura, but that seems to be what we're looking at right now.
Yeah, it does seem to. And as they come down here through these S's, it's interesting to watch both Corvettes trying to make a run, while McCall in that Porsche is just trying to stay close to this pack. They're all kind of within about 2 car lengths between each of the 4 cars. But look at the run as you see Candelaria
In front of you made a mistake.
Well, yeah, we've seen that actually a couple times out of Darrell Anderson in that Mustang. Do a little twitch as he comes over the crest of 3A. I'm sure Hugh Stewart has not missed that on his own observations. I have seen a couple of passes in this race historically where you can get somebody in this shot here. This is that downhill into 4 coming out of 3A. Maybe there's a spot if you're Hugh Stewart. If you can stay close to him coming up the hill into 2, through the little ups and downs of 3, maybe there's a shot there as well coming into 4. All right, so with that, we've got a bit of an update from our very own Tomo. What do you got for us?
Yeah, guys, I just took a moment to walk down towards the exit of turn 11 while I had the chance, and you can hear audibly that these rear-wheel drive cars with this much power are really scrabbling for grip there. They're wanting to go to throttle. They try a couple times, and then they can finally pull off the corner. One thing we didn't talk about really is the layout of these cars so much as the prep level. That leading NSX mid-engine, it's going to be able to get the power down in some of these corners as this grip is not that great. Stopped by the Driving Ambitions tent while I was on my way down. They said everything's great so far.
Yeah, Kip Olson just looking absolutely inch perfect. You're right, though, coming out of 11, if you can get that power down and get that long run up through 1 into 2, it's going to pay big dividends. And that's where it's interesting. You talk about the big V8 power. Perhaps that Mustang of Anderson is struggling there, as we've got, looks like a pass here. And as Candelaria trying to defend on McCall in the Porsche, McCall on the inside, he is right on those curbs, going to use the tight line. But here possibly comes that torque in the Corvette. Candelaria, yes, using that torque, was able to hold the outside line. McCall not having the torque there in the Porsche Cayman.
Super classy driving for both those drivers, gave each other lots of room. You could see both of them on the corner, cars slipping and doing everything they could to keep off the wall and off of each other. This is a great drive and a great battle, and I think this really speaks to what we've been talking about the whole race. Candelaria with rear drive, front engine, not a lot of weight over those rear tires. The back end tends to move around a little bit. Meanwhile, the Porsche right behind him, McCall, he's got the weight of the motor right over those rear tires. That helps plant the back of the car, and oh yeah, there's that big wing on the back of it too. So as I say that, the Porsche slides 2 or 4 off into the dirt. He's going to give up a position.
Yeah, he does, and probably being a bit aggressive there, and now you lose that. So the battle now really does turn to that 4-car Candelaria, as he's got McCall back behind him. McCall gets around Gaudette. We saw McCall a few laps ago, or a lap or 2 ago, where he had gone off in the dirt at that very corner. He's got...
Just now getting a car that he feels like he can trust again. 4 laps to go. That is not a lot of time to run down a car as quick as that C5 Corvette is.
Yeah, Candelaria has been very consistent this race. As McCall was putting pressure on before, Candelaria just kept holding his line, Candelaria with 4 to go. He's going to really have to hustle, as he's a couple of seconds back, about 2 seconds or so. And you got to get back on his bumper. Now, we did see early he did try a move on 11, and maybe he's thinking if he can get to that spot, come into 11 again, maybe he can make it stick with that mid-engine powertrain to be able to put the power down. You do learn when you do that one time during a race. Maybe it'll work again. But he's got to get it back. It looks like he's gaining very quickly as he's trying to set up for a nice late apex here coming off of 11. He's definitely closed that gap extremely quickly. As you see them come off a 12, pass, start, finish, and there's the power of the Corvette kind of pulling away a little bit. So if you're McCall, you want to get in front of him and hopefully keep him on your bumper before he starts pulling away to the straightaway towards that start-finish flag.
Now, Larry, we've got a little bit of a development up front. I don't think I don't know where.
I'm sure it's not, but here's this battle again as these 3 are now nose to tail of Candelaria, McCall, and Gaudette. These 2 Corvettes sort of sandwiching McCall, the meat in the sandwich there in the Porsche Cayman, in that beautiful Pennzoil Porsche. And there you see the different types of cars where you've got the non-aero, the C5 Corvettes, and a little bit of aero there on that Cayman between them. They do behave differently in here. And you can see now that maybe is down this section through into turn 10. This may be working in McCall's favor. Probably a little lighter than the Corvette.
Yeah, Candelaria had a very strange line out of 7, and now you see McCall go into the inside. But Candelaria really rounded that corner. You can see him checking the side mirror as he comes into 11, making sure he knows exactly where McCall is before he cuts down for the apex.
Great defensive line there for him. Not blocking, but he came out of 10, took a set line, never changed, but he knew that he needed to be on the inside because about 3 laps ago, we saw McCall dive down inside. They were side by side. I'm thinking that Candelaria doesn't want to let that happen again.
I think he's being very protective right now. I mean, every position at the runoffs is an important position. He wants to hold on to this one, and McCall would love to make a last lap pass to move himself up in the field.
Yeah, and Candelaria also looks like he knows where his advantage is, and that's corner exit of the tight corner. So if he can just hold the entry, he can pull on him with the extra torque and that American Muscle V8 over that Cayman. But if he lets him get it sex.
And it has to be satisfying to have this kind of a drive on your home track. This is where he runs the most. He knows this place inside and out, and that's always a runoff story, but it's a particularly meaningful runoff story when it's on the West Coast. Only able to get the event out here twice now since the 60s, and having the event come to your backyard and being able to show your case, your driving, your car, your preparation has to be a really rewarding experience for him.
Sure, and defending home turf where the folks like the Phoenix Racing outfit coming in from the East Coast, Andrew Ocpolante, a great drive for him. It looks like he's going to end up going home with that silver. But if you're Kip Olson, to be fast every session all weekend long and to hold that behind you, it's very satisfying if you are Kip Olson. So while we are on our last lap, we've got still this battle. It's this battle between Candelaria, McCall, and Gaudet. McCall had a bit of a moment there in the middle of 7. It got the car a little sideways, lost his momentum. Now he's got just 1 lap to try and gather this back and make one more attempt here. The battle may only be for 7th, but I can tell you it is no less important to these 3 gentlemen right here.
Well, Candelaria is a guy who started out doing track days a couple years ago and found his way to Phoenix Performance to get onto a racetrack. And here we have our lead.
For 4th may actually come to him as a podium, and it does. And here's this battle. Now it's turning into the battle for 6th. I believe this should be is Candelaria, McCall, and Gaudet. And Candelaria able to hold on to that as he comes around the hairpin of 11 up towards 12 to take that checker. What a great drive by these 3 and putting on really a display of what club racing can be at its highest level.